We're really excited to be with you guys. We're really excited to share with you this webinar, our first webinar here in Clean Smarts. We have a lot to cover. We're really excited. Let me introduce you really quick to this masterful mind over here, our CEO, Guillermo Rojas. Na 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 na. Guillermo Rojas. Those who understand the quote. But anyway,
All right, thank you. Can you guys hear me okay, everyone? We're good? Okay. I'm gonna take that as a yes. Okay. Let me share my screen with you so that we can get started. But first of all, just want to welcome you to the webinar, and so grateful to be with you, and especially with our dear customers. You know, we care so much for what you think, and we're so grateful to be helping you and your teams run your business effectively. I want to share my screen with you to share with you and start the. Can you guys see my screen? We're good. So again, just wanted to thank you and welcome you for joining us. Wanted to give you a quick introduction of what we're going to be covering today, and just a quick agenda. First of all, giving you a quick introduction for the new web app of why we did it. Just briefly with that, we'll then jump. Fran will introduce the new web app to you, and some of the tools that we're going to be using are the homepage, the dashboard that we're going to be sharing. We're excited to show you all the capabilities that it has. Also, I'm going to be sharing with you how to set up new locations in the new web app. Then Fran will jump in and show you how to set up employees, customers, contractors. I'll share with you briefly our new scheduling views, and then we'll have a quick wrap up at the end. The purpose of this webinar is not to do a full tutorial, right, of the new web app, but just to introduce you to it so that we can show you some of the basic functionality and how it compares to the old web app that you've been using up to this point or just recently, right, as you're switching. So with that, the reason why we have a new web app, after many years of getting feedback from all of you and other customers, we had come to the realization that we needed to update and take advantage of modern technology and rethink every interaction, right, that we had in the system. So after many years of collecting data and hearing the feedback from all of you, this is the result of all those years of research and coming up with a solution that will be easier, more powerful, and also from the development perspective, is going to help us to build new features, new reports, much faster thanks to the modern web features technology that we have with the web app. Also, what you'll notice is that you're going to have a more consistent experience across all the interfaces. As I mentioned, it's going to give us the ability to provide features much faster, and over time, it's going to increase your visibility into your cleaning business, and it's going to give you a lot more powerful tools to help you see and give the status of your business now, and then also over time. All right. So again, excited to show you what we have, and we'll start with the homepage. Fran, do you mind explain a little bit about the dashboard and what that entails?
absolutely. All right, my friends, we're really excited. A few of you have already seen this, which I am very thrilled to show you again. So this is our new web app right here. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to give you a little contrast on the changes that we made. Just to give you a really quick compare and contrast on how the old web app used to look, right? We're all familiar with this part right here, the dashboard, seeing mostly groups in this area. We've changed that from this to, let's see, to this part right here. So we're going to close the right one. There you go. More like this, where we call actually widgets. This is our new homepage. The new homepage is, again, to give you that visibility of what's going on in your company. We have different widgets that you are able to add in this section right here by clicking on the widgets. All of this will show you reports based on your data. So as your employees are clocking in, they're doing their jobs, they're raising issues, completing checklists, everything, right? You're going to start seeing more reports over here. Like, for example, I have a few that are very useful. Open issues, how many issues I have in my company in general. Open supply request. Inspections, right? How many have been completed in this week, as well as how many actually are overdue. Who is actually coming into their shifts, right? A lot more visibility there, something at a first glance. And that way, you don't have to be going from one location to another. And people sometimes ask, well, what happened with the budget to actual? Well, actually, that actually is here over here. All of that information you're going to be able to customize, right? As you're adding your widgets, you're going to be able to change the size, change the layout, how you want this to be, right? And if you want to export data, you're going to be able to do it in some of these guys as well. You're going to see also, this is another one of the widgets that is very popular, any events. Okay, which locations have been scheduled? Okay, all of them have scheduled, but which of all of those schedules have been assigned? This is actually what we call the events needing assignments. You're going to see it over here, where you're going to be able to click on it and then assign the person in the system directly. So all of this information is now at a first glance. This is our homepage, again, comparing it to the old one, right? This is the beauty of CleanSmarts. We heard a lot of people saying, hey, look, I love all of these reports, but is there a way that I can actually customize this? Well, that's the reason why we hear you. We also have the currently working, so you can see all the shifts that are going on over here as well, right? All that information will come to you as you please. And you can, again, move this to whatever places you want, so that way you can see the information at a first glance. This is the new home page. Looks beautiful, right? Perfect. So we're gonna move along to the next section, which is actually in there, the admin. What are some of the changes that we made, right? So on the old web app, we used to go to admin, manage locations, right, to see all of our locations here. But before, whenever I needed to edit, I had to either click on a pencil or click on the person to assign people here. With the new web app, we've actually changed this from being that way to something a little more easy to the eye. So we still have our hierarchies, right? We have our mothership over here, the name of the company, and then I have a few quadrants, a few locations actually divided by whether by city or the name of the company, right? So now instead of having to go into a pencil or clicking on the three dots over here, you're going to find that in CleanSmarts now, you can just click on the location and that will give you access to everything. So instead of in the location having to click here and then scrolling and scrolling and scrolling to a location, everything is more grouped into one section right here, which actually will enable you to navigate a lot easier. Easier for your eyes, easier for you to understand, easier for you to be able to navigate, right? We still have the location name. Now we are able to assign the parent location in one place. We also have the service location, right? If this is a location that we're going to be cleaning, the address. One thing that I love about this new feature is that as you're adding the address, it actually starts validating it. So that way you can actually see, oh, okay, perfect. So this is in the right location. If it's not, again, you can always drag it and drop it in whatever you want, right? But that's one of the cool things that we added in the system, where you're going to be able to have that precise location here as well. All the geofence options right in one place. If you need to allow people to clock in, right, with the pin, all of that information comes in here. In the service details, we also made some changes, right? Again, before in the service details, we had to scroll and scroll and scroll to be able to see that. Now over here, we actually see that it's all in one screen. I don't have to be going back and forth between up and down, right, as much. I still have my admin notes over here, but notice how we have the custom fields. Instead of seeing them at the very bottom, we actually have it in a more organized place, which is actually on the right side of the screen, where you're going to be able to create them and actually see them in one place and see it at first glance. We also added what we call a site supervisor. This is actually more robust, where you're going to be able to assign a person and make sure that this person is the person in charge in this building, so any notification comes to this person as well. We also have the barcodes again. If you want to have people log in through the barcodes, you have it right here, right? And then we have a print barcode. So instead of having to go into the scope of work, or in other words before, right, how we had to click right here, we actually have it more simplified, right, on the bottom right here. Then we have the task as well, how you want this to be looking. We have it, instead of seeing it like this, right, having to see 1, 2, 3, you actually have the ability just to see less. Again, easy in one screen, easier for your eyes. Shift and inspections, we also changed the look. We went from a huge group where this is actually where people will have to scroll and scroll and scroll, or collapse all of them in order to be able to see them, to a more simplified way, where you actually have the shifts in its own house. And the cool thing about it is that you can see the different titles for each one of them, and it gives you a quick report, okay, what's going on over here. But notice over here how it actually gives you the average, how much is costing you, right, per shift as you are assigning users and doing things. In the schedules, right, we have divided. Now we have the description, the locations, frequency. Everything hasn't changed when it comes to the functionality. The only thing that's changed is just how we give it a nice lift to see it. We also have the budgets to be able to notify how many people we need in this building, as well as the labor rate in this area, of course. We also have the assignments and notifications with the adjustments, which are very popular again, for whenever you need to make any type of adjustment. If you're paying someone a flat fee, or if you need to set a minimum amount of hours worked, or a maximum cap of works, or break settings, all of that. We also added what we call the advanced reminders in this section, where you can actually create a reminder for your employees hours before the shift starts. So this is a great tool specifically for when you have those type of shifts that you only do, let's say, once a year, right? So that way nothing falls through the cracks. Before, people used to go to Google or into the scheduling, right, and be able to see what shifts were coming up. But now with this, actually gives a notification saying, hey, friend, just FYI, remember that on Friday this week, you have to do stripping and waxing in this building at this time from this day, right? All that information, you can see how simplified it is. Same thing with inspections, right? You're going to be able to create those inspections and have them in a more organized manner, everything in one screen. That's our purpose and our goal here. We also added a new section, which is actually not over here. It's what we call the revenue, where you're actually going to be able to start adding your contracts and your billings for your company. So that way, whenever you go and close a business, you can add the description of the contract, from what date to what date, the billing on day of the month, right, and the revenue that you're having over here as well. People sometimes will ask me, well, in CleanSmarts, and this is just a quick note outside of this, right? What happens? Before, you used to have the language over here. Now you have the ability to have the language change no matter what, right? That actually is done in your profile. Once you sign your profile with the language, it does it over here. But if you need to do it manually, of course, you're going to be able to do it from here. We actually added the light mode and node mode. I will show you that in a later call, but this is some of the changes that we've seen, of course. The scope of work. In the scope of work, this is actually where before we had to scroll all the way down and add each one of the sub locations, right? You see how clunky this looked. Now we actually have organized it a lot better into this section, where you have each one of the locations over here with the sub locations. And the cool thing about this is that we actually added one button right here, which is called the badge option. So I can do this, and now I can print the QR codes directly from here in bulk, or the barcodes as well, or require my employees to scan in order scan any scan points over here. That's something that we changed. The other cool thing too, we also have the edit order now, where you're going to be able to drag and drop wherever you want to organize it, right? We also have a sync button over here. So that way, whenever you make any changes, something else in Reflected, you can just click here and it will reflect it. Now, when it comes to the other functionality that we had here, for checklist users, all that beautiful stuff. We actually have it in this section right here on the three dots. You actually have this right here. It's a lot more clean, more hidden, so that way it's easier for your eyes, easier to navigate, easy to see everything. In the manage checklist, you still have this. But the cool thing on the checklist is you're going to be able to assign it to the multiple, to the shifts, as well as hide and unhide things from the checklist, which actually will help you manage each one of the floors. For example, I was having a call today with one of our customers where they have a building that is massive, about 27 floors, and they only work on the third and the fourth floor and some other floors as well, the basement and the parking lot. They only clean those areas. And he asked, he was like, well, how can I organize all of this? Well, that's when I show the sub locations, and I show him how to do sub locations, which is basically here. He loved the way that this actually looks because it makes it a lot easier for him to see exactly what people need to clean. And the cool thing about this, again, is that as you're adding the checklist, right, you're going to be able to assign those shifts, add checklists in a specific directly from here as well. All that beautiful stuff, once you assign each one of the locations as well as the assets, right? Once you add them, you're going to be able to do multiple things with them. We actually added what we call a little tiny logo, so you can know the difference between an asset versus a sub location in the previous version, right? We didn't have that. So if you see, for example, Dyson, you're like, oh, is that a sub location or is that an actual asset, right? The only differentiator was over here, but now it's a lot easier because it has that a little icon right here, the little thumb there. Now, when it comes to the user access, it's a lot easier now. Instead of having to go and click in the name of the person right here, right? You have to click over here, don't see a user, and then assign this. Instead of that, actually, it's in the new web app. You actually have the ability just to see the plus sign over here. All of your users will appear right here. And as you're adding them, it's just a simple click, 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 click to remove and add people to the building. That's one of my favorite things over here. So I have Harry Potter. Let's say Harry Potter actually doesn't work with us anymore, so I can just remove him in this building. It doesn't work in that building. Same thing with customer Carlos. He's no longer the person in charge. Lionel Messi, right? He's still there, but Draper is not. So we only have Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Those are the guys that are going to be cleaning this building. You see how easy it is to add and remove people from there. Same thing when it comes to supplies. Before, right, we didn't have any places over here for your supplies except for the supply managers. This actually was changed so that we can have everything in one place. You can actually add the supplies by clicking the supply manage supplies over here. And as you have all the list of your supplies, you will be able to find them here and just do the same. Just a quick, simple click. Boom, boom, just like that. Then people ask me, well, what happened with the managed suppliers? How do I indicate who needs to be notified, right? How we had it over here, right? So we removed that section. We actually added a button right here as the supply managers, where you can actually indicate who is managing what over here as well. So again, a lot more simplified, a lot more clean, easier to be able to navigate through that. I do see a question, and this is great, about where do we go in order to access the new web app. This is the link. It's just app@cleansmarts.com, whereas the old one is admin.cleansmarts.com. That's and people always ask what's going to happen with the old location. We're still having it, right? We're not removing it yet, but we're migrating things over here. This is the quick look on the new web app. Now, since we talked about the scope of work and adding checklist over here, another one of the changes that we made actually is under inspections, the checklist, where you are actually going to be able to modify your inspections and your checklist for those inspections and the task for those shifts, right? Before it used to be inspections and task, minus checklist. We had it over here. You see how it looked, right? In the new look, it's actually more simplified again. And again, I don't have to click on the three dots in order to be able to edit them. I just click on the name and I have it more simplified. Now, one cool thing that we did not have in the old web app that we do, that actually created this specifically for this training, is this. You have the cleaning, the task over here, but notice how we actually have what we call a quick link. You can actually add a text and hyperlink it. So if you have a video, right, of course, you have the ability to create a video training in the web app. That's going to be for different training guys. But if you want to add something where your cleaners can actually click on as well and be able to go to a YouTube video, let's say it's a policy or training, anything like that, you're going to be able to add it over here with this. Another thing too that we added is the requirement score. Now we are requiring, or you can require your employees to take a live photo again. And the difference between taking a photo versus a live photo is that before, people can actually go into their phones, right? Let's pretend here's my phone. I was Fran. I just cleaned this building. I could go into my phone. I could click, okay, I just completed it. I'm going to submit a picture, right? Before I had to click there, and I could actually upload a photo that I already previously had taken on my photo, on my camera. Now with this, since it's a live photo, I have to be in the place. Once I clean it, I take the live photo right then and there, and that actually is uploaded. So that's one of the cool things that we added over here into the checklist part. Since we touched also on the checklist, once you add them over here, before you had to go into the select action in order to be able to do anything here. With this, we actually have the 3 dots right here. And you can do the manage assigned locations, and you're going to see how easy it is. Again, it's just a quick click over here. No more of having to click on this and then 2 clicks. Right now, it's just 1 click to add, 1 click to remove. It's just simple as that. And the cool thing about this as well is that it brings all the sub locations as well within these buildings, so you can actually add them directly from there as well. So this is the beauty of the new checklist. I hope you guys, I see a lot of people actually have already used it. They love it. They love that new features, how easy it is. Before I move to my next section, which actually the next section that we have prepared for you guys, which Guillermo will cover, I wanted to touch just into supplies as well, because we talked about how you're able to add those supplies. Notice how we have a supply request over here. This is a feature that was asked, right? We also have a new report, which is the supply usage, which will give you a quick report on which buildings or which locations are giving you the most headaches, right? Which ones are you using the most inventory? Sorry, most supplies. We also have the supplies over here. It's a more robust page and look, where you're going to be able to add the images. So in that way, before, again, we're going to compare it to this. In the products and services on the managed supplies, right? It was a list like this. Now you're going to be able to see it in a more robust and easier manner. You're going to have the rebuild, the cost, everything over here, so you can have eyes on everything. So that's the beauty on the new web app. All of these features that I just show you, that's how they affect the locations. You're going to be able to see each one of them over here. That's why we added everything here. So you can actually have more accessibility. You can configure it in a general way, but in the location can go to the specific places where you want to go. So this is the new web app. Again, under the locations, the checklist, as well as the supplies. I've seen a lot of great comments so far from people that have been using it. They love this new look. It makes it a lot easier for everyone. All right, cool. So with that said, we're going to move to the next section, which actually will be shown by Guillermo.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Fran. Let me share my screen with you. I guess before I jump into the new section, just wanted to share with you. I know some folks were asking about the link to the new web app. Sorry, I should have started with that. To log into the new web app is just very simple. Instead of admin.cleansmarts.com, that will take you to the old web app. All you have to add is the app.cleansmarts.com. And that's the link, and it will ask you for your username and password, same as the old one, and then you'll be able to log into that. Okay. Now I'm gonna be jumping in now into the setting up employees, customers, and contractors. So for that, in the new web app, under admin, this is where you're gonna go to the users page. And if you notice now, on top of the manage user screen, you're gonna be able to see that we separated users by employees, second customers, and third contractors, right? That way it's very easy to identify and distinguish, all of your users. Before, in the old web app, all of the users were just kind of part of the same list, and you just had a very small indicator of what type of user were they. We did not have a way to manage employees and contractors separately. They were just kind of like the same user, but now you're able to do that, right? To separate them. As you can see, the interface is much easier to read, and you're able to select users by location, right? You can also search, users by typing the first few letters of their name or last name. And let me just go into one of the users. I'm going to pick the first one, George Bailey. If you see under George Bailey, here is where you see the name of the employee, and then also the CleanSmart's ID number in case you need that for clocking in via landline. It's going to require the employee's number. So that's where you can now get that number for your employees. For their, if you notice, it's similar. The interface is similar experience as the location interface that Fran just shared with us. As you can see on the left-hand side, you have all the different options to set up your users. Instead of having to drag, to the different sections as we did in the old web app, now you can go to the different tabs to set up whatever you need for your users. On the personal information tab, this is where you would add the basic information to create the user, the username, the phone number, and then this is where you're going to select the language that that user feels more comfortable with. We support over, I believe, close to 40 languages now. And the nice thing with CleanSmarts is that as you set up the language for your users, whenever they log in into the mobile app, everything in the mobile app will be translated to that language, including checklists that you create or information that as you create and provide for your cleaners. Everything will be translated in the mobile app to that language, and a lot of our customers love that. Also, talking about language, just so that you know, the translation is also real time as you use the messenger in CleanSmarts. So if you set somebody up, let's say in Spanish, and you send them a message in English, as soon as they get that message will be translated into their preferred language. And then as they reply in their language, you'll receive that message in the language that your profile is, right? So you'll receive it back in English, for example, in the example I was just sharing with you. Okay. Also, this is where you can send the email or the text message for them to set up their password. If you have somebody that maybe is not that tech savvy and they prefer you to create the password, this is where you can set it up for them. Something that we added as well in this personal information is the ability to create custom fields. A lot of our customers love this because now you have the ability to create fields to track whatever information you may want to track, whether it is HR information or just basic information as, what's the shirt size of my employees, right? Or the hiring date, or what is their driver's license. Anything that you may want to track, now you can create it on custom fields. To create these custom fields, all you need to do is when you go to the admin section on the left-hand side and you go to company settings, you see, as I scroll down, I can go to the location custom fields. And this is where I can then add the custom field and then the type of data that I'm going to be capturing, right? So if I add the custom field, I can type in, let's say, as I mentioned, driver's license, right? What type of data am I going to capture? Well, that's going to be probably a number. And then it gives you the option as well to check on the visibility for that field. Do you want everybody in the company to have access to that information? Or do you want only managers that are set up, users set up as managers to see that? Or do you want only that information to be seen by administrators, maybe sensitive information that is that you don't want everyone to know, you can set that up. So again, once you set up your custom fields, as I go back to that location view, I'm sorry, to the user view, that's where you see those custom fields created. Okay. And a lot of people love that. All right. Second, this is where you're going to give your users access to CleanSmarts. All of the modules are broken down into like columns, as you can see here. That you have the administrator, all the types of administrative access that you can give somebody. We broke it down by assets, by checklist, inspections, issues, locations, messaging, scheduling, services, supplies. So everything that this software offers is broken down now into modules, right? And right now I have it set up where you can create custom modules. So you can select, pick and choose, right, what you want that user to have. The other option you have is, just as we did in the old web app, you have the ability to select predetermined roles, right, that will come with the software. If I select somebody to be an admin, you can see he has access to everything, every option in the software. If I select somebody as a manager, less access. Somebody as a cleaner, much, much less access, right? The other nice thing about it is that you can create now as well custom roles. So think about the different positions that you have in your company, and you may want to have a very specific access for that role. You have the ability to create those roles as well. And to do that, all you have to do is go back to admin, company settings, and then you see the user roles option. That's where you can create your role and then determine what those roles. I have, for example, an inspector, a day porter, manager role, right, that I created, and then I can customize what type of access I want for that specific role in my company. So as you set up the new roles, going back again to users, right, and going back to user access, now you have the ability to select those roles that you created down here. Okay. So a very customizable experience for you. Also, the next section is the location access. It's super easy now to give people access to buildings and into specific schedules or shifts, right, that you create. If you see, you're going to have a list of all of the locations available in the system. If you have a very large list of locations, you can always search a specific location on the search bar on the top right corner. But the nice thing about it is to give access to somebody to a location, all you have to do is check the box. As soon as you check that box, that employee will have access to the location. And then if you notice, there is a little arrow on the left-hand side. If I click that, then it will open that location and will show me all of the different schedules that can be assigned based on that location. And what you can assign now in the new web app is not only shifts, right? But if you created inspections, that's where you can assign users to that inspection shift. If you have work orders as well, you can then assign work orders directly from this screen. So again, a very user or remove, right? Assign or remove. And as you assign shifts for that employee, you're going to be able to see a personalized schedule for that employee so that you can visually see, how the different assignments that you're adding compared to what he currently has already on the schedule, right? So very user-friendly way to see what's going on with that employee. Okay. So once again, as simple as giving them access just by checking the box and then assigning the specific shift that you want for that user. Okay. Much easier than before. Next section, this is where you set up the notifications, right? Here are all the list of notifications that CleanSmarts can provide. And as you can see, you can select how they want each of those notifications to be received. They can receive it via push notification, email, text message, or an inbox that we have within the mobile app. So as you select what you want, just save the changes, and those are the notifications that we'll be sending out. And you can pick and choose, right? You can have messages being sent as an email, the late check-ins be sent as a text message, or all three ways. It's very customizable how you can set up the preferences for notifications. Okay. I'm going to jump into the time and pay section of your users. This is where you can set up some of the timekeeping options that you can set up for users. For example, exempt no overtime, you can turn that on. This is where you can, if you want to calculate the drive time and mileage for your employees, this is where you turn that option for that user. If you have, example, let's say that you have a supervisor and you have all of your locations with a geofence and you want just this individual to not have geofence restrictions, right, in his profile, this is where you can turn it off, and only for that user geofences will not be utilized, right? So he can clock in and out as he wishes. And then this is where you can determine what the pay rate for the driving time and determine what that is. And you can customize those pay rates as well. So all in one section, including the history of pay rates for that user, right? So now you have the ability as well, not only to set up the current pay rate for that user, but the ability that you have to now keep the history with dates and know that, and be able to see the increases and when was the last time, they were bumped on their pay rate very easily by looking at this. That's a quick review of the employee section on how to set them up. And I'll pass the time now to Fran to talk about scheduling. So Fran, you can take it from now then.
Perfect. Thank you, Guillermo. Cool. We love these new features. Guys, this is going to be amazing. All right. I'm going to share my screen again. To go over the scheduling. So the scheduling, right? We have it over here. Now at the top is the very first thing. We have a calendar that is a lot more simplified. You're going to be able to see all your locations with all the schedules, right? You're going to be able to organize it the same way as we had it before, by month, week, day list, by user, and by user by week. Still, we have a lot of the functionality, similar functionality that we had in the old web app into the new web app. The only thing that changes is just the visibility, right? So we have actually now, whenever you have a shift that is overlapping, it's going from, let's say, starts on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock at night, but it finishes on Wednesday at 2 o'clock, right, in the morning. You're going to be able to see those type of shifts over here. Within the shift as well, we still have the quick report. As you can see, before we used to have them with colors, right? Now we actually have them with little icons as well. You're going to be able to see the person, the name of the person over here, if it was a no-show, if it's pending, if it's in progress, all that information is still the same as before. Now people will ask me, what are these hours? So here, these are actually hours per person, how much they're working per week. Of course, this is my demo account. So Fran, of course, I'm being overworked over here, working 70 hours or 42 hours, 62 hours, right? Depending who it is, right? That's what basically this number is over here. You're going to see the reports on each one of them. The other cool thing too that we added, again, with the users now, everything is more color coded. It's a lot more friendly. To see each one of those people over here, you're going to be able to select and then select all or clear, right? To see the different views. So if I want to see only Carlos Cleaner, right, there's nothing assigned to him. But if I have, for example, Fran, then I can see Fran's schedule over here. Similar to what we saw previously, right, in the users. You're going to be able to see the view over here. Now, the cool thing too as well, if you click over here on the gear sign, now we have actually the ability to hide managers, but also add hours to total badges as well if we need to as well. Which changes a little bit on the views over here. No longer we have that button before on the events, where before we used to actually add or just by clicking we used to default to the jobs or the work orders, right? Now actually we can click right here and indicate specifically the type of work. That's why we have the filters over here to indicate what type of work you're completing, whether it is a work order series, work order, or inspections, or shifts, right? So if I go like this, we'll hide pretty much everything. I will go ahead and select all so we can see everything. Since I don't have any work orders created, there's nothing over here. But if I select just the shifts only, then those will come over here and you will be able to see the regular schedules as normal. The same functionality that we had in the old web app, right? We just give it a quick lift where you are actually able to grab the shift, hold the click, and then drag it into the person and be able to sign it directly to them. You still ask the questions, right? Whether it is for this appointment or future appointments, you're going to be able to do that as well. All that beautiful stuff is still added over here in the system. So there's no many changes as well. The other part too is that we brought the same view that we have in the locations into the new calendar as well. So that way you're able to make the modifications within CleanSmarts over here. Change the name, the descriptions, whatever you want to add, right? The frequency, the start date, the end dates, the hours, from what time, all that beautiful stuff is actually still over here, brought from the new view, from the same view that you have under the locations into this view. So that way we keep that consistency as well. Other things too that you're going to be able to see as well, right? So as you're changing all of you, we wanted to mimic a little bit of how you see it in whenever you have something on Google Calendar, right? Give you that familiarity, right? To be able to see that as well. Same thing, we also brought this select date so you can actually go directly to that week instead of having to go boom, boom, boom like before. You can go to the date here and jump directly to the date that date that you want to see in a specific for that week. So a lot of new cool things. You can also export that data. This actually was not available in the old web app. Now it is, where you can actually export that. So if you like to have a sheet, paper sheet, right, to handle to people or for whatever purposes, you're gonna be able to see this as well over here. So it's part of the new lift that we give this view as well. Yeah, and that's pretty much a lot of the things that we added into the calendar in the scheduling section. The assignments, we also have something that you were familiar with the old web app, right? Be able to assign people over here. Now you can click on the plus sign and select the person, add the person to that specific shift for that specific day, right? So you're going to see the name of the location, right, with the shifts over here. And just add and assign more people to those buildings. Of course, this is actually a recurring task. There's no shifts for this one, right? That's just for 1 minute. It's for training that I did. But if there's a task or a shift that actually has hours, you're going to be able to select the name of the people who are assigned into the building as well, and be able to say, okay, from this day to this day, this person will be working there. And this is the example that I wanted to bring actually in this section. I've had people where before they used to say, hey, is there a way that you guys can actually assign a person only for a week and then the next week can actually go to the next person and so on and so forth? That actually is the reason why we have the new assignment page over here. From what date to what date you're going to have that person working in that shift. It's something that we added over here for you so that you can actually stop wondering about that. And also it will make your life a lot easier for those rotating cleaners those porters, right, that will be working on those locations. That's one of the things. And again, you're going to be able to see the cleaners. You can see also the work orders as well as the inspections, right? Which inspections you have scheduled over here, and do the same functionality as well as you have them there. And again, you're going to be able to filter by the location, right? If you want to see all of them, if you want to see specific locations, like for Cristiano Ronaldo's, right? All of his accounts or the quadrants or the cities, right? You're going to be able to see that reporting within CleanSmarts always over here, this section. So we keep a lot of the consistency for the filtering, of course, so you can actually see exactly what you want to add or remove in the calendars or in the assignments as well. We always have the search bar as well, so you can search for the specific individual here. So if you want to see, okay, you have a lot of locations, say you have over 1,000, right? You can actually start typing the name. So I'm going to say Willow Tree. So I can see them over here. And I can actually see, okay, I need to assign someone for every, on January 20th, right? We need to assign someone over here. We're going to assign Fran, right? And if I don't add any end dates, then what will happen is that Fran actually will work until the end. But if I do this, and I say, okay, he's working until the 29th, right? I can actually do that, remove or add that person, right? Till the 29th. That way Fran actually is working there. And, or actually select Joe. Joe is the cleaner. There you go. So you can see how it would actually do this. We can actually have the custom range and look until the 29th from today. Let's do this. So you can see Joe is there, but if I go to February, all right, we're going to do February. You see that Joe actually is no longer in this shift, but Fran is, because again, we selected him for forever. So that's one of the cool things. Again, if you select that option, right, as I did, where it actually removed Fran, it adds Joe Cleaner from those days to those dates, but that's a new functionality that we have there. I know a lot of people were asking for it, and now we have it for you guys. And that said, that's pretty much everything we have for you when it comes to this. We wanted to reserve the last minutes for any Q&A, which I see that a lot of questions have come in the chat. So we'll take care of those questions for you guys and answer as many as we can. Again, we record this training. We'll be sending it out to you, all of you guys. So you're going to be able to have a copy of this as well. And if you have any questions right before the end of this call, I will drop the link to my calendar so you guys can schedule a call with me or with Guillermo, whoever it's available, right? We can answer more questions as well if we don't cover all of them. But again, thank you, everyone. We'll start with the Q&A. All right, we got a question saying the scope of works. Are you able to see messages and issues under each sub location? For the messages over here, the message center, of course, we have this. You won't be able to see it per sub location, right? That's not intended for that because it's part of the building still. But when it comes to that, when it comes to being able to see the sub locations here, you're going to be able to sign in, but not the messaging directly from, oh, it was on the first floor. However, on the issues, on the other hand, yes. If you create an issue there, you will be able to see what part of the building it was. Like you can see right here, floor 1 bathrooms. That will come there. Messages, no. All right, we got another one that says, is there a way to differentiate issues between cleaning and issues and site-specific property issues? When it comes to the issues, right? So I want to clarify this. You will always see the source over here. So if this is internal, meaning this is from your customer, from your employees, right? Your employees are the ones submitting those will appear right here. If it's something that was created by your customer, I mean the customer, you have the QR code again on their admin locations on the scope of work. If you print any of the barcodes, right, we have over here. If you print any of the barcodes over here and they scan that and it comes to the issue because they raised that, you will see that section right here saying, okay, this is a customer. Customer actually was the one who did that for this. Hope that answers the question.
But let me jump in real quick to answer that question.
Yeah.
I think she's referring to whether you can categorize issues, whether it's a cleaning issue or a maintenance issue for the building. And let me share my screen with you. And something that we have. All right, so as I'm sharing my screen with you guys, something that we have as well under admin, when we go to company settings, right? You see, you also have the ability, if you want to create issue custom fields. All right. And as you create issue custom fields, whenever you create an issue in the web app, right, you are able to see now those custom fields that you created, right? These are custom fields that were created. So if you wanted to, you can now create a custom field describing what type of issue it is, right? Whether you want to categorize it for cleaner or for maintenance. Okay. What we're adding as part of the custom fields is the ability, and it's not available right now, but will be available in the very close future. The ability to create drop downs with your own values. That way you can easily select in the drop down whether it's a cleaner, whether it's a maintenance, whatever categories you want to create. And that way you can categorize issues by who's supposed to have access to those issues or visibility to those issues. So hopefully that answers the question on on the issues and how you can categorize them differently. Okay. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, we want to be sensitive in everybody's time. We scheduled this webinar for 1 hour, so we're running pretty close to the hour that we scheduled. So what we're going to do, I know there's probably a lot of questions that we haven't covered. What we're going to do is we're gonna review the questions, and then we're going to um, reply to those questions, individually for you guys. And maybe the top questions, we'll review them on our next webinar. We're planning to do webinars just like this one, at least once a month, so that we're constantly showing you new features or, just functionality of the software. But we'll review the questions. We'll make sure we get back to you, and then as we learn what are the top questions, we'll make sure to include those on our next webinar, if that's okay with everyone. So it's already 3 o'clock. With that said, I just wanted to take the time to thank everyone. Hopefully, this was helpful in identifying how to use the new web app. Again, the purpose was not really to be a full demo or to answer, every detail of the new web app. It was more of an introduction, and hopefully that was helpful for you guys. With that said, just in closing, thank you again for your time. And we'll be sending this to everyone. If you want a copy of this recording, we'll capture the questions you have, and we'll try to get them back to you as soon as possible. And that will be also a good feedback for us on what to address on our next question. Also, Fran just sent a link on the chat. If you want to set up a one-on-one session with Fran, just click on that link and select the time, and he'll be able to help you one-on-one with specific questions that you might have. Okay. With that said, thank you so much. We're so grateful to work with you and the trust that you have in us. And we're excited for what's coming up. 2026 will be a great year of new features, and we'll keep you updated on everything that we're doing. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.